Hello, beloved. How are you all doing? Oh, it is a fantastic day. I'm always excited, and you may wonder, why am I excited? Just being alive alone and breathing by myself, but by the grace of God, I am excited. So that's enough excitement for me every day. And also coming to do what I love and love what I do. You know what? That is like the icing on the cake. So I hope you're all good. And thank you so much for tuning in. If at all you know anyone who is watching, today we are going to be talking again about youth crime. Please do call them and tell them to tune in and share my page as well. Follow me up. But I want to share something with you. Last weekend I was an MC at the Christian Millionaire Book Club Award, and I also won my first award since starting my entrepreneurial journey.
Wow.
Linda Muyobo Top Innovator Award. This is one of many.
Wow.
And I am so excited about this award. The reason why I love this award is the acknowledgement of people that nominated me and also the judges for choosing me.
Wow.
So this is just, I don't know, I dedicate this award to all of you who are out there and do not believe in yourself. Start believing in yourself. Start believing in your vision. Start believing in your God-given purpose. And trust me, you will fly. The sky is the limit. As long as you believe in yourself and you surround yourself with the right people, very soon you will be receiving one of these. And I know this is one of many. So I thought I'd just share with you.
It's just the beginning.
It is.
Congratulations, Linda.
Thank you so much.
Very well
Thank you,
Very
thank
well
you,
deserved.
thank you.
I'm very
thank
proud
you.
of you. Absolutely.
Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce my guest. Today we are going to be talking about youth crime and how family dynamics, the absentee father, plays in, the environment as well that children come from, plays in, that contributes maybe to youth crime. And to help me in the studio today, I have Martin Mayega, who is a pastor at Liberty Christian Fellowship. He's been pastoring there for 5 years. He's a father of 3 young boys, and also he works full-time in healthcare operations management. And Pastor Mayega is very passionate about the youth. And also with me in the studio, I've got a young youth himself. He's an aspiring designer. He's also a singer, I believe, but he might correct me later on. And he comes by the name of, guess it, Boy Wonder.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
Boy Wonder, fashion and designer. He's creative and he's also educator. He has worked with the likes of Pharrell. That's ring a bell? Shall I continue? will.i.am. And the list goes on and on and on.
Wow.
Boy Wonder now operates a clothing and music pop-up club in Croydon called FMM Group. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming
Thank you for having us.
to discuss such a very sensitive topic.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know you guys are going to contribute immensely to what we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
So you're all good?
Very good.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, as a mother of boys, and you as a father of boys,
Yes, 3 boys.
we are living in a generation whereby if you have boys, you're overly concerned. I'm not saying that if you don't have boys, you're not, but boys, you're overly concerned. And the discipline that you have to impose on them, the culture, and also the environment. What do you guys think of that?
I grew up in a household where it was just my dad who raised us after we lost our mother from the age of 3. When myself and my twin brother were the age of 3. So my dad was left to raise 4 children by himself. He did an amazing job.
Oh, he obviously
us
did, yeah.
Were educated well. He made sure that we went without needing anything growing up. And one thing I always remember was the discipline that he instilled in us from a very young age as well. And it was so consistent.
This is here in the UK?
This was in the UK.
Okay.
Wow.
And it was so consistent to all the way through to university level. And I think I miss that kind of discipline where you didn't get interrupted by other authorities who would then question maybe your intentions or your parents' intentions. And I believe in this day and age, that seems to be the case in my opinion. where outside sources might want to interject on how
A
a
parent.
family or a parent is operating their disciplinary kind of regime, and it may then have a adverse effect on the children, because now you're listening to two different factions, one that's in your under your roof and one that's outside of the house. And again, sometimes it's not that one is wrong and one is right, it's just that it's conflicting
It's
information.
conflicting, yes.
And for young people growing up, sometimes their thought process is very, very linear. Before you get to a certain age, you then might understand, yes, there's two sides to every story and so on. But as you're growing and as you're just before adolescence, you find that some things just have to be black and white,
Yeah.
A and B.
There's no gray area.
There's no gray area, especially when it comes to discipline, I believe. You took the cookie from the cookie jar, that's a smack on the
Yeah.
wrist. You won't do it again.
Yeah.
But
you can't do that now.
you
see,
can't do that
yeah.
now. But also, it's all about the information that's being received and being told to the children. So if it's coming from different areas, it can be very confusing. And
Absolutely.
sometimes they abandon both disciplines anyway.
And follow their path.
And follow their own
And that's
path.
where they go wrong.
And that's where they may go wrong. Because a lot of the times, I believe, it all starts from the home. If we look at how the society is kind of labeling anyone involved in crime, for example, be they young men or even older, they'll always say what happened in the house.
Yeah.
What
starts
went
from the
wrong
home,
at home.
yes.
And it's because that's where it starts from, I believe.
Martin, what's your contribution to that?
My contribution, actually, I just want to thank my brother for laboring in a very, very dissected way. My contribution to that is you need to go back to the root. You need to go back to the beginning. At the very start, God always set out a family scenario. But you talked about boys at the start, and that is very significant. He started by creating Adam. I'm coming from a very Christian background. He started by creating Adam, created a male. But I just want to dissect briefly in about 2 minutes the whole concept of fatherhood and boys and where it starts from. I mean, there's a man in Genesis called Abraham, and we all know about Abraham. A majority of the people viewing here have heard about a man called Abraham, who is the grandfather of faith.
That's right.
And Abraham did not have a child for a very long time. At age 99, he goes into a covenant with God. But this is what is interesting. Abraham had 318 young men in his household.
318.
318 that he did not give birth to, but he was fathering. But then he says to God, you see, I'm going childless. What are you going to do for me? And God said to him, I'm going to do a covenant with you. And he said to him, you're going to be a father of many nations. He said that to a man, to a boy, and not to a woman. That tells me that fatherhood is it's a spiritual garment that is bestowed upon you. That comes with responsibility, that comes with accountability, that comes with stewardship, also with blessings.
But a mother watching right now who hasn't got a husband or a father of the children in the home might not agree with your point of view and said, okay, I've got grown-up children and I've raised them very well without the presence of their father. What would you respond to that?
And the way I would respond to that is that fatherhood is supposed to be communal. This garment, this spiritual garment, does not necessarily mean that it is just me and my family. So the society has got to have fathers, and that does not only mean your children, but it means fathering a community.
Yeah.
And even in the days of the Bible, the days of Abraham, there were widows, there were people who didn't have husbands, there were people who were single mothers, but there has to be a sense of fatherhood as a communal discipline, as a communal way of life that envelopes everybody else without a father. And that's what we need to enact in our societies.
And I'm sure you have interacted with a few youth who are coming from a fatherless home.
Oh, yes, I have.
What are some of the challenges that they face?
One of the biggest challenges is the challenge of identity. It's interesting that God tells Abraham, from now on you're no longer Abraham, you are Abram. Identity changes. And then again, at some point in Scripture, God comes and says to Jesus, I think it is the book of Matthew, that this is my beloved son, of whom I'm well pleased. That affirmation that children need to hear. So when they don't get to hear that, they hear it elsewhere, and it is from
They'll follow that, of course.
and from very wrong sources,
Yeah.
and that's where they end up into situations that are quite regrettable.
And maybe even the sources that they're hearing from are not actually from a genuine love.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Yes, and that's what tends to happen. It comes across as though it is genuine, but with insidious and with wrong motives, and subsequently the child then goes off tangent.
You know, when you mention about identity, and
Yes.
Boy Wonder, I want you to jump in as well. As a Ugandan, we're all Ugandans,
Yes.
okay? And I believe if you don't know where you're coming from, you will not know where you're going.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I believe, I might be wrong, that if children who were born here, or maybe even came over when they were very young, were never actually taken back to their country of origin,
Yes.
they are going to lose their identity because they are kind of like in a bubble whereby here they find they don't fit, and then when they go back to their country of origin, they don't fit. So there was somewhere in the middle. But then I've also encountered whereby children who have been regularly taken back home, they have grown up with a sense of appreciation, a sense of discipline, you know, and a sense of authority, whereby they
Yes.
respect authority in the home, they respect authority from God, they respect authority from their teachers.
Yes.
Have you experienced that?
I mean, in most African households, and not just Ugandans, you'll always find the wayward, that stereotypical wayward child that got sent back home from the age of 12, came back when they'd finished their, equivalent of GCSEs because they needed to see what life was like back home, and where, to be honest, discipline, is handed over from the household to the educational sector as well. So where, for example, the teachers are allowed to discipline you the same way your family would, with all kind of, permission given from parents.
Absolutely.
I always say, if this isn't your country of origin, the first holiday you should ever take your children to is back home.
Absolutely.
And not wait until it gets into that kind of
Teenage years.
To let it be a cultural visit. Let it be fun, first of all. Let them see what life is like back home, or where their bloodline is from, and just like you said, grow up and see the way authority works, how the household works, so that they can grow up appreciating it. Because when they're here, they're not going to be around that so much, obviously, as society isn't the same.
And also watching the media, because I believe what the media actually shows of many African countries is rundown areas.
Yes.
Children with runny nose, flies all over the place.
Yes.
So that is what children grow up with, the image.
That narrative will always be the same
Yeah.
if you don't see it with your own eyes.
With your own eyes, yeah.
I don't believe there's ever going to be a time where the mainstream
world.
media in the UK sees Africa as the rich, resourceful country it
I think
is.
in the Western world, not just the UK.
Yeah.
In the Western world,
100%,
yeah.
Yeah.
But perhaps to add on to that, which has been very well laid, is you've got to also integrate the fact that the whole aspect of parenting, fatherhood, motherhood, is a key aspect called presence.
Yeah.
You've got to be present and prevalent in the children's lives. And then with presence comes imitation. They're going to watch and imitate you. And then they're going to get those values. So taking those children to places of identity is absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
I take my children every year, and we do try and speak the native language
Yeah.
That's
as
right.
much as possible. And we also buy the native foods
Yeah.
and have dinner at table. And then at first they're like, what is that? But then next thing, they keep on seeing it, they start asking, can I have some?
Exactly.
And that
yeah.
is all affirmation of identity. So
Absolutely.
presence is absolutely
Absolutely.
critical as well.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they start making it themselves.
There you are.
So
That's the next step.
That's
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
all about being, not just seeing it, but integrating
Integrating,
themselves,
yes.
and making sure that you put them in positions where they can integrate themselves into their culture. It's such a simple task, but it really does work wonders when you start at a very pinnacle point in any
Absolutely.
child's
And I believe
life.
at the age of 5.
Yeah, yeah,
At the age of 5.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for parents who are watching and maybe your children are already grown up and you're like, okay, I can't now reverse my children to be 5 years old. You can start now.
Yeah.
Because I believe it's never too late for a change in a child's life. It's never too late. So start now. And we're going to take a short break and we will be back. And so please go grab yourself a cup of coffee and call a friend to tune in as well. We will be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait until it comes. Thank you so much for coming back, and I hope you've grabbed yourself a cup of coffee, tea, or whatever it is that you're drinking, and please do call a friend to tune in. Now, Boy Wonder.
Yeah.
Mandem,
Yes.
knife crime is not in fashion. I like that.
It's trending,
awesome.
but it's not in fashion.
It's not in fashion.
It's not in fashion.
I like that.
You
How
know,
did you come up with the name Mandem?
Mandem, it's obviously slang for the guys, the fellas, the boys, the mandem, you know. It's just, it means everybody.
Okay.
It's inclusive of both sexes, identity, everything.
And you know what, I must add, you're also a lecturer, right?
Yeah, so I work at a creative college in East London, and I actually work with a lot of special educational needs children as well, as well as just mainstream educate learners as well. And
Congratulations, by the way.
no, thank you. And a lot of them
Done
are
well.
from the kind of, you know, the society where all this knife crime is actually happening. Unfortunately, we've lost, you know, 2 members of the college, young members, to knife crime and violence, and it's always heartbreaking. And every summer or every Easter or any time we have a long break, I always worry for the
something
children
else, yeah.
that are they safe? Are they involved in anything that they shouldn't be? Am I going to see their faces in the new term again?
So
You
what
know,
does Mandem do? What do you guys do?
So basically, we're a clothing line that started about a year and a half ago, and it's an offspring from our other clothing brand called Lyrics for Lyrics.
Okay.
And even with Lyrics for Lyrics, we were really championing the days where a lot of young people were becoming rappers and MCs, and we wanted them to make sure that they kept their lyrics very much on record and not try to act it out physically if they had a problem with another MC from a different area.
Okay.
And now with Mandem, obviously the epidemic is knife crime, so we're trying to kind of incorporate the fact that, you know, we're actually bored of raising awareness now, because I believe there's enough awareness.
There is. It's action.
It's action now.
Yeah.
You know, there was 43,516 knife crime offences in the UK ending March 2019.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's 80% rise since the last data was kind of collated in 2014 March.
That's a lot.
We now know it's happening. We've always known it's happening.
But what do we
can
do?
talk about it, but what can we now do? I'm very much a believer in action. I like walking. I don't always like talking. Motivational speeches can only get so far. And it has to be something that stays in the youth's minds. And I believe with the slogan, it's obviously, we're saying this is what it is, but we're also trying to create action. We want people to come to our the store that we have in Croydon is actually called FMM Pop-Up. So it's a hub for music and fashion. We showcase fashion from independent
Give them the address so
brands.
they can actually...
So the address is actually Unit 63 inside Croydon Central Mall. It's on the ground floor. You can't miss us. As soon as you enter, we're across the road. We're opposite Next clothing store, and you can't miss us. It's a hub where we basically in Central Croydon, CR01TY. So basically, it's a hub where we incorporate music, workshop, and fashion as well. So a lot of the brands that we sell in store are from local Croydonites, or it's just from Londoners as well.
Right.
We also encourage young people who are into music. We know young people love music. We encourage them to come in store. We have a microphone where they can come.
And you do catwalk as well, don't you? You do some kind of catwalk as well in your store.
We've got a catwalk and a runway in the store. So that's for anyone who's a budding fashionista or model.
Wow.
For my clothing brand, a lot of the models are actually students from my college.
Okay.
So I like to make sure, you know, I integrate them in as many different things outside
Taking
of
them
just,
away from the street.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of them may not be involved in the street, but I just want to showcase that I am going to give you an activity to do that could possibly better your life. 2 students of mine, for example, were wanted to be seen by a modelling agency. So off the back of them modelling for us, they then went to see a modelling agency.
Wonderful.
You know, so I purposely pick particular learners that I may have, you know, have dealt with or spoken with, and they may be doing something that could potentially lead them down the wrong path. And I said, you know what, so and so, come with me to this shoot. I think you'd be good in, in this particular realm.
Okay.
Try it out. So I really want to do action now. We've gone past
And which
the
you're already
talking.
doing. Which you're already doing. Martin, in your church, what do you do for the youth?
I think you've done really well. I just want
He
to.
has.
I
He
just
has.
want to congratulate Boy Wonder. You've
No,
done a
thank you very
fantastic
much.
job. Interestingly, our church, as a collective, this week, all our young people are away for a week for youth camp.
And it's organized by the church?
It's organized by the
Okay.
church, by the fellowship, and we engage the parents and also parents of parents' friends, rather friends of the parents, to bring their children, and then we facilitate them. But away from that, I think for me, I want to come from more of an apostolic angle. The church has preached on pulpits in their churches, doors closed for a while. We need to come out to places like this, come to studios, come and integrate with the people experiencing situations, come up with programs that are really practical and relevant. About 2 years ago, we had a musicality project throughout the summer holidays where we got all the young people and we had a music project. We're teaching them to play instruments. And they would bring their friends and they would jam all afternoon. They would have free food. And I just want to encourage parents out there. There is something you can do. Someone might be good at baking, Tell all your children
nurture
to
those
bring
skills.
their friends and nurture those skills. Bring them at home. Some people might be very good at cooking. Prepare a meal. Bring all the children and their friends. The question is, the children or young people are looking for love. They're looking for belonging. They're looking for identity. And we need to be practical in our dissemination of these things.
There's something I want to touch on, but I'm looking at time, and I know we are going to do a pre-record immediately after this. So this is
Right.
just a thought. And I'm going to be, as a pastor, I want you to answer this question. Just if you can touch on it just for a minute, but
That's
then we
okay.
will maybe go into it deeply in the next recording.
Absolutely.
Now, we've come across some pastors who are actually abusing, and not physically abusing children, but
Yes.
mentally.
Yes.
Whereby you find a child is actually never at home, they're
Yes.
always in church.
Yes.
And for me as a parent, I find that is wrong.
Yes.
And I've had a lot of cries from mothers who have come and said, Linda, you have a platform. Can you please try and speak to some pastors and find out why some of the pastors do that?
Yes. I think to answer the question is this. The way I can answer the question is this: is that in every situation where pastors are dealing with children, you cannot deal with the children without integrating working with parents.
Well, these are now children who are 18.
Yes.
So basically they think they're adults. And the children are saying, oh, because I'm an adult, I don't need my parents' permission. But the pastor is actually not even making the effort to contact the parent or actually integrate the parents in.
And that's the challenge, because as pastors or ministers, we are accountable. There's what we call collective stewardship. So for me to be mentoring or nurturing a child, a daughter or a son, I've got many daughters in the Lord, I have got to engage the family, the parents. So this is the program that we are dealing with, we're working on. These are the times. How comfortable are you with that?
So how about the pastors that are not engaging the parents?
I would want to say perhaps there are some areas that they need to explore. I would encourage those pastors out there to start engaging the parents, because it brings a buy-in. The whole aspect of mentoring and pastoring and helping young people is a collective. It does not discriminate one group against the other. It has all got to be flowing in the same direction. So however anointed you are, you cannot be moving ahead of the family. You've got to go together. Yes.
Unfortunately, some of them are doing. Now, I would like you to look through in that camera, and please, you have about 30 seconds, and
Yes.
just speak to the camera, each of you.
Okay.
A message to the viewers, to the youth, to the parents. Okay?
I'll start
Go
with the
ahead.
young man.
Knife crime is not in fashion, so please engage your young people with as many different activities, including Fashion Meets Music at Unit 63, 21 North End, Croydon CR01TY. Please also follow the social media at FMM Pop-Up.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to pray. Allow me to pray 1
Okay.
minute. Father in heaven, I just want to thank you for this opportunity, because I believe the mere fact that we sat in this studio and we are talking about these issues, it is a prayer, and heaven is making an applause for whatever is happening. I'm praying for the parents out there who have been affected by knife crime. I'm praying for the parents out there who are looking for solutions. I'm praying for fathers out there who do not know how to father their children, who think they have lost an opportunity. It's never too late. May the Spirit of the Lord come upon them, and may He guide them in everything that they do. I'm also praying for this nation, that collectively we tackle this endemic once and for all. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Sorry, I had to be watching the time and make sure that we don't run over. But you know what? I know because, knife crime is such a very sensitive topic, but a very
Yes.
important topic. And I know the time we have is not enough, but we're going to do a pre-record. So don't move. Stay there.
Right.
But you know what? It's not going to be on Facebook Live, but I will post the next recording on my YouTube channel, and it will be aired later on. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions at all, please do post on my social media, and we'll try and answer them. And do follow us as well on our social media handles. Please do call all your friends or share the recording with all your friends, family members, and anyone that you know would actually benefit from this recording. And final word from you, Martin?
I mean, the final one is the mere fact that we are doing this and talking about it. I believe there is a future, there is a hope. I believe that we're going to see a generation that is going to be without knife crime, without gangs, that is going to be engaged in positive things.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, God bless. Bye-bye.